But when you label that person, you're not really helping them out or yourself out. You're generating negativity. And if you could only see the vibration, the flows, the energy, then you would pause immediately and be like, why am I generating negative light and putting it on myself? And here's a news flash. You can actually see that energy. So you can see light, consciousness itself, love, and you can see it flicker and dim if you're actually kind of mean. It's going to happen. We're all going to keep thinking and judging. But if you just did 7% less daily or a week, that's what angels have said is the Olympic gold medal for us all, for just letting go, not taking ourselves, situations, or others so seriously, and recognizing, as Teresa just said, the bigger side of all of us.
Welcome back to Enthusiastically Spiritual Podcast. I'm your host, Teresa. So today I'm so excited about my guest because we are going to embrace spiritual helpers, guides, master souls, spirit, angels, whatever you personally call them. My guest today is here to shed some light on how to directly connect with them for your healing and support for your journey. His name is Michael Andre Ford, and Michael is an American angel intuitive who helps people meet, hear, and see angels, plus many other loving figures. Michael has been a guest speaker at the Shift Network and also held a 3-day event at Omega Institute last year. He is a host of Angels, Positivity, and Love podcast. And get ready, listeners, because this mini morsel episode is filled with some good angelic vibes for you. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Teresa. Good to see you again. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it is such a pleasure. Yes, so we did it. This is a trade. I've been on your amazing podcast, and I'm so excited to have you on and share you with my listeners because you've got some stuff going on with those angels. And so let's get into it, Michael. I want to talk a little bit about how you came down this path. What brought you to the work you're doing in the world right now?
Sure. Well, look, I've always had a lot of energy, been super enthusiastic, and I'm from the East Coast. Maybe 25 to 40 something moves, depending on how you count a move. Parents in the military, and was in New York City for 20 years, happy as a clam, but didn't know there was something bigger in life. So I talked to everybody, doormen, cab drivers. I think in New York, everyone thought I was from California. I'm not shy, wasn't unhappy or anything, but also just, I couldn't have probably stayed through an entire Super Soul Sunday episode. I definitely didn't finish my Plato reading back at Middlebury, and you can meet Plato. So I wasn't really with it on the whole philosophical, spiritual, getting here. I would have failed every exam. So something happened along the way, and then I kind of popped, and then I was still scared for a long time. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? But pretty quickly, I think I've owned some of my skills, and it keeps expanding, and I help others ever since.
So what was the first real angel encounter that you personally had that got you on this? Whoa, there's something more going on here in this world.
Well, looking back, I had angel encounters during that time where I wasn't maybe as aware. I had folks come in. I worked for the Nantucket Police Department, for example. My first job out of college, I didn't want to do the corporate thing straight off. I wanted to live in Nantucket, lifelong home, family members who run businesses there, but I never spent any official time there. And I picked a summer of recession to try to get a job. Everything was tied up. I landed a police department job trying to get a parking permit. And it was more meter maid. You're sworn in, stood on the top of Main Street, answered tourist questions. But long story short, they did not pay you a lot. I was eating out of cans every third night. And to get a brownie at Henry's Sandwich Shop was a really big deal. I'm in line. I paid for my sandwich. And, I'm there somehow still in line. And the owner is Henry. Looks like a thin Santa Claus. Now, somehow angels can show up full on in human form. Hollywood casting. They've got the best wardrobe, the best look. They say just the right thing. So if you've ever had anything like that, check that box. You've probably met an angel. But Henry comes up, winks, grabs a brownie, and stuffs it in my bag. He's the owner. He can do anything in his own shop. But it was really an angel named Dale. And so I remember still to this day, that was 1990, a lot of years ago, munching on that brownie, and it might have happened twice that summer, munching under a tree, having the best moment in life, which is about all you can expect. The little charms of life are everything. Munching on that brownie. And then the backstory got filled in much later by angels. They can fill in why you made the decision that you made way back when, or why that relationship went this way, why you went that way. And so that was just a beautiful little moment where it was interaction with an angel. Somehow I have a feeling the real Henry was back at the house or something else. So
That's so amazing, and I just love when angels show up in the most, like, unusual places. I had a friend who said she was getting pumping gas one morning in California, and this guy came up to her who looked homeless and said the most profound things to her and had the eyes of an angel. They were like crystal blue, and she was like, "I just saw an angel." And I swear I'm filled with chills. I say that, Michael. It's just amazing. You too. It's isn't it just like profound the way they show up in these amazing places? So, in the sense of showing up, so I believe that we all have a team of our own personal, personal guides that we come in with, we contract, we come in with and work with our whole lifetime. But then there's also all these other angels, and so I'd like you to share a little bit about the angels that you personally work with, and then also those that have shown up for you. And I know you have quite a few of them, so pick your like maybe top three. That might be hard. Don't offend any angels, Michael.
Sure, and everyone's got a stretch limo they're in. Your Secret Service agent or your bodyguard is your guardian angel. They never leave your side. You've got different angels that come and go as your life stage changes or your needs. And you have a driver for the life stage. So some of my favorite angels, there's Abe, which took me a few years to realize that's the Abraham of old from the Bible days. He'll tell you he was a little bit of a jerk as a human back then, but he's also very different than all the other angels. He's a masculine energy, grandfatherly, on everyone's team. He's down on the ground a lot helping. And so if you want to think of it this way, he hands out fish. He doesn't teach fishing. Now, a lot of angels want to help instruct and help you open up and just be present and experience more. But he's the opposite. He really is the type that would show up at the gas pumps and with sparkly eyes, or be in a parking lot homeless and be like, "Can I get a ride?" So that's one angel. There's another angel named Joy, who's the ambassador communicator for all of us. If you want to let go instead of just getting the routine, getting your version of life, your version of reality right now. She's here to just help you let go more, get to hear. She's the emotion joy, pink ball of light, sparkly, fun, high, peppy voice. If you go to see her, you can see her as a 28-year-old blonde, but at Omega last year, two people jointly saw her about a football field away as a brunette. So I never try to predict. That would be a second angel. And a third, let's just go ahead and do Charlotte. She's more like a school teacher. I've been around the block. If you want to think Audrey Hepburn's sister, elegant, older, in her 50s, Santa Fe, New Mexico garb, white outfit, turquoise jewelry. Now, I saw her in a Starbucks before I really started getting into this, and she kind of bookmarked it for me. So when I look back, she showed up. A woman just drinking coffee facing the wrong direction when you're at the window, staring at me as I'm meeting with my book editor the entire time. Now, I asked the important questions, big picture stuff. When angels are here, do they really drink the coffee? And the answer is yes.
Well, yes, they really do. Wow. Not to get the caffeine, probably because they just enjoy the taste of it, or
Yeah, they're in the moment, I think, as well. There's sort of a house rules thing. And they're not here to interfere. That's the big message I would have is if there were five big messages, me being as a guest. I know Teresa tells us that on the show all the time. You have to ask for the help. And I would just add that everything is fantastic as it is now, depending on what perspective you take.
Mhm. So you've been doing this, having clients come to you and work with you with the angels for quite a few years. So have you ever had someone not believe in angels and you had to shift around what you've shared with them?
Um, I've certainly come across tons of people who are either skeptical, 50-50, not sure, hesitating, but they can ask for signs from the universe, a dream. And that just happened for somebody in Wales. They were coming in just saying, "Hey, I'm a bit skeptical," but they just had an amazing dream. So they've loosened up and they had to push everything back a couple weeks. It's really what will you allow for? And let's get the angel topic out of the way. What are you allowing for in life and living? Because you're up here, and we all know stress, fear, worry, reacting, judging, knowing to the preclusion of possibility. We also know we have to pay the bills. It's just not practical to be happy for no reason at all. It's not practical to be here. We come into the house with an iPhone or a conversation going on, and we skip the kids, we skip the dog. We don't take a breath enough, or smile enough, or we don't get here enough. So there's a million ways to be out of the game of life and not live. And there's a million ways to get to your heart: a breath, a smile, a laugh, wave to the stranger, validation, compassion to others. And so, taking the angels out of the equation, it's really what are you already allowing for? The person who's skeptical and not going to allow for something beyond human thinking, which has caused a little bit of harm over time: violence and destruction, self judging, lack of worth or lack of self love. Um, how is a person living now? So they might not be ready, and everyone's good at the consciousness level that they're at now. So for the person who's skeptical, I say be skeptical, be you. And then I love Joseph Campbell's final bit of advice here, which is just follow your bliss. If you happen to want a little more openness or opening openness or joy, or just that you're not sure, but you could spare 5% of your day, that's what we're pointing to here. A little more here, a little less there.
I like that. And as you point to the heart, all I think about is love. And that obviously plays a big part in this, right? Is that love vibration?
Yes, absolutely. If I had to go out on thin ice and I'm going to get pegged, and this is going to be the t-shirt slogan, it's love is the fabric of the universe. Or think of Love Actually, love is all there is, or whatever the Beatles song is. You can
All you need is
allow, yeah, all you need is love. That's what I was trying to get
love.
to. And you can love more and allow more anytime you decide to get started. Try not to get stuck in the decision making and most of us put it off for a decade or a few years or a few months, or we get stuck. And that's just welcome to being human.
Mhm. Yeah, you know what I like about what you're talking about, Michael, is the practicality. Because, like you said, I mean, we're living in this realm, in this third degree, this third, well, it's probably fifth dimension now, but third to fifth dimension, depending upon where you're at and above. And the fact that we have, like you said, we have to pay the bills, we've got to get up every morning, we've got to deal with the kids or the dog or whatever situations, and understanding that all these unseen aspects and parts of us are part of what, if we understand them and work with them, they can really benefit what we're doing as far as being practical and being human. So how do you work with the angels and in your practice every day to help you move through what we're doing and what you're doing in life, Michael?
Sure. Well, it's basic listening. And that basic listening means especially for the skeptical person out there, or the person who's not sure they could do any of this, to do what Teresa does or to do what so and so does. And again, it's what Teresa says in her shows. It's not about the comparison and so on, but you have it all already within. You have the ability to do basic listening. So think of your favorite person. You run into them at the supermarket. You're able to get into a conversation and you're not worried about the laundry list or the supermarket list. You're not worried about something else. You're actually focused on the person and hanging on every word. That's all we're talking about for basic listening. You can have any answers to any questions for absolutely any topic in your life: health, career, issue, jobs, how to let go of something. You can get support. You can just get general feelings of love, warmth, sparkle. So, again, it's back to what will you allow for? And then you have to put yourself out there. You have to be able to ask. It's going to feel scary. The part of you that's like, ooh, I better not, or worries or stresses or reacts, isn't going to want to let go of the control factor. But, if you've been able to give a hug to a dog or look at a sunset, sunrise, appreciate flowers, spring flowers, you can do this. It's just dropping to your heart for a few seconds, letting go, taking a breath, not being tight and frozen, and let angels do their jobs. I love telling Americans, get out of your head, into your heart, and simply let angels do their job. Basic listening.
Let them love back and support us, because that's what they're here to do, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so, one way that I found that was interesting for myself in looking back at my life before I really got in tune with my guides or other angels, or, honestly, like I used to channel, Pleiadians and Hathors and other beings. So there's a whole realm of all kinds of help on the other side and in the galactic realm. But before I really understood about all that, I look back and there were connections that I recognized spirit angels put in place for me to be in the right place at the right time. And so, have you noticed that in your life that's also happened for you, Michael?
Yes, and the Nantucket job absolutely was one of them. I literally, no more jobs left on the island. It was musical chairs, no more chairs. I had restaurant experience. There were no restaurant jobs. Landscaping jobs, not happening. My parents had said 2 weeks later, you're off the island if you don't have a job. And I was optimistically getting that parking permit sticker when a bunch of doors slammed and a guy quit. And it was the first time I was publicly funny. I jerked a thumb up. It had been a peaceful lobby. Then the guy came in, quit, slammed the door, and it was a little heavy. I jerked my thumb up and I said, "Hey, does that mean there's a job opening here?" And everyone burst out laughing. And the dispatcher was like, "Are you serious?" And I was interviewing with the police chief half an hour later. Now, there's many other examples. There are really no accidents. Now, for the person who's not so sure about this, again, I have photos of angels you see with your eyes, full on. You can meet your relatives. You can meet light beings, guides, a few fairies, a jinn, an elemental who's beautiful. It goes on and on and on. But just trust that you're heard, trust that you're not alone, trust that the universe is far bigger than any one person's version of reality. You have to find a way, though, to bridge that gap to be okay with a little more love and support. So it's fantastic to tell you can have any answers to any questions. But really, the question is, what do you really want to have happen? What do you like? Pretend that you have it all already, which you do. That's the message number 2 for today. Um, what happens if you do get out of your own way? A little less thinking, a little letting that rule the roost. What happens if you start living a little more? You're going to find that you're a whole new person. And it's the part of you that you never lost as a kid, in your teens, last week, in your 20s. You've touched on it. You adulted a little too much adulting, too much thinking, too much seriousness, or too much drama that stuck with you. What happens if you're ready to let go and transform just a little bit? Then the real ride in life begins, and let angels assist with that. And you have a higher self. And I know Teresa loves talking about the soul journey, the development. And that's where I would just add that angels can help alter your path. It's a perfectly good path. You have a unique, fun, exciting ride ahead. Only have to get started living 7% extra a day. No huge transformation, just baby steps. But after that, if you want to accelerate that journey, the learning, everything is growth and expansion. You know it is change. And that's what's so scary for our ego. We'll do everything we can to resist it and stick to routine and what we know, to kind of, thumb our nose at the universe and love and sparkliness.
Mhm. Wow. And so, what I also like about this conversation is that there are people like us, and especially like on your podcast, having this conversation over and over with other people and really spreading the word around the entire globe about the fact that we've this unseen realm of of support from our angels and how important it is. So I'd like you to share a little bit about your podcast and how you got it started and what's going on over there, because I was on it recently and I absolutely had a blast, and you have had other amazing guests on.
Well, we've had 10 episodes recorded. I think we're airing number 7 this Sunday. So it's every Sunday. It started January 22nd with an amazing 2020 Coach of the Year out of California. The show doesn't have a time limit, so often it goes 2.5 hours. But it's healers, authors, show hosts themselves, many of them. They're from all over the world: South Africa, Germany, France, Ireland, Portugal, Canada, US, India. Uh, People share select life moments and the lessons they learn that apply to us all. So you're hearing somebody who's in your shoes, that's talking to the audience right now. And they've been there and they've had that opportunity to open up. It's going to feel like you're jumping off a cliff. Little things. Could be just relationship stuff. You went through a health crisis. You went through turmoil, the usual ebb and flow of life. But you've watched them, and through them telling their journey, their story, you kind of can take heart. Now, what's interesting is they've all met, heard, felt, seen angels with me and guides and so on. Mother Teresa, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, whoever. You get your answers, get your hugs, you see full on, and there's photos of angels. But what's fun is they've also had their own experiences. So there's a 50-year meditation expert who talks about his visions he's had since 1969. He taught at Omega. His mindfulness teachings are in 48 states, public school systems, big time in LA and Atlanta. So he's been there and done that, and he's fun, and he's also cool as a cucumber. He's like, got it. What's next? So people will enjoy that episode coming up. Now, what's special about the show is the latter half of the show goes really big picture of the universe, and you get to watch the guest put their hand out to a photo of an angel through 2 screens, or smell sage through 2 screens. The point of this is you really have no limits. Their time and space isn't quite what we think it is. None of this is about thinking. Which is why when you're up thinking and resisting, or you're saying, hey, Mike's a really enthusiastic or sparkly guest, it's way over the top for me. That's okay, but it's still thinking. There's a million trillion consciousness layers. You're good absolutely right where you are right now. Everything's your instruction. And you only have to ease up on the judging thing and get to your heart. If you want to just feel your heart, you want to go to a mirror and say, I love you 100 times till you're either crying or laughing hysterically at the exercise. The point of this is the universe is ready to step in full force and deliver anything you put your focus on. You only have to allow for the possibility that there's more to living, loving. It's less routine and it's more fun ahead. So that's where this really lies. It's not about the photos of angels, seeing angels, meeting your guardian angel or loved ones, or about these guests. But it is awfully fun to watch them do it on air. And for you to participate. I just had an audience member type in, oh my God, I'm sensitive. And you don't have to be sensitive. And I would argue everybody's already a healer full on. And by that, I mean, When you simply wave to a stranger, give a little bit of compassion, love, kindness, you haven't judged them on their politics or they root for the New York Jets, the NFL football team, and you're a New England Patriots fan. You're not judging people when you wave, wink, smile, laughter, or a few words of encouragement, just like an angel did for your friend at the gas pump. Uh, there's just something more that we can all do for each other, a little more love, kindness, and gentleness. And I would say that's what this is all about. Mankind in the big picture is ready for a little less rat race, which isn't the corporations or global warming. It's just a little less thinking and judging and a little more peace in the heart.
And what I hear you saying also being present, like getting out of our scenarios, getting out of all, like you said, the neighbors' issues and the family issues and what's going on politically and whatever else, but really be present. And what I hear you saying too is treat each other like we are, the namaste, right? The light in me honors light in you. And I mean, that's might be cliche to a lot of people, but it really is the truth. Like, what I see in you, I see in me, but really honoring all of our journeys, and then also honoring the support that we have on the other side. That to me is like so exciting, is knowing that, I'm not alone, no matter how alone I might have felt through different times in my life and different events, but none of us are alone. There's always support on the other side.
Love is an amazing big constant. And the only thing that pulls us out of that flow, a big global slipstream, joy, enthusiasm, all those subvariants, the only thing that pulls us out is a little bit of thinking. Nature's fantastic. You're fantastic. Everyone else is fantastic. And I love Christmas Carol. It's a 79-page book, and we only think of Scrooge at the beginning as being kind of a jerk. So you can relate to this because you've got a coworker, a boss, a neighbor 10 doors down that you just don't agree with. But when you label that person, you're not really helping them out or yourself out. You're generating negativity. And if you could only see the vibration, the flows, the energy, then you would pause immediately and be like, why am I generating negative light and putting it on myself? And here's a news flash. You can actually see that energy. So you can see light, consciousness itself, love, and you can see it flicker and dim if you're actually kind of mean. It's going to happen. We're all going to keep thinking and judging. But if you just did 7% less daily or a week, that's what angels have said is the Olympic gold medal for us all, for just letting go, not taking ourselves, situations, or others so seriously, and recognizing, as Teresa just said, the bigger side of all of us. We just might not be as connected, and the person's suffering or we're suffering. If you can give yourself a break, there's help immediately from the universe. You just have to start with your breathing or smiling. That's why meditation, mindfulness, there's so many ways into the heart, and there's so many people willing to show you the way.
Beautiful. So in you working with your own angels and guides, have you received any messages lately, like for the collective, as far as like, where things are at, or the additional support they're bringing in? Because it does seem like there's a lot of people right now channeling and bringing in, different beings and different, support from the other side, like, like what you're doing and like what I'm doing with sharing about, our personal team of spiritual helpers. So have you had any kind of, insights or any type of messages that have come through just recently that you might want to share with the listeners?
Sure. I mean, there's two ways to go about this. Big Mary said, love isn't everything. Open your eyes to see love. And I love that for its simplicity. So it's not about any one calendar year or this group or the big shift. You hear a lot of speech that way. Also, I think the other one, my view is everything is good where it is right now. The power of now, heaven on earth, all that stuff. You have it all. It's up to you to pump the brakes a little on what you think your routine, your life situation is, how you're so limited. You can't do this, you can't do that. You're a full-on loving human being, but you have to find a way into your heart and through the world. I'm quoting Seth now from the 1970s, Jane Roberts. And you can meet Seth, a light being. You can meet other light beings. They're like whales, angels are like dolphins. But what you're looking for, for your transformative journey, for that unique life path, it starts with understanding the difference between thinking and your heart, awareness, consciousness. Love is love, and most of the details people would focus on tends to be just more egoic thinking. I'm not knocking it. It's just we got to talk, and we've got to talk concepts.
Definitely. It's funny what's coming to me too, Michael, about you specifically, and like, my husband, Tom, and there are a lot of normal men that are out there in the world sharing. I mean, like, I really don't like the word woo woo. I don't know where that came from. I don't know who brought that word into the metaphysical, spiritual, but I was talking to someone yesterday. I said, when we talk about, say, religion, you don't go religion's woo woo. You like religion is religion. It's got its thing. And it's like spiritual work or metaphysical or talking about angels. It's like that woo woo connotation comes on over that. A lot of people talk about it. So what is your perspective on, on woo woo and being a normal man walking in today's world, really sharing what you're sharing with, from the angelic realm?
Well, with 8 billion people now, there's a lot of versions of reality and a lot of thought forms. So 40 trillion thought forms more. So everyone rolls the way they roll. And this is the most important message. You're good where you are, keep all your beliefs. But if you started to look, you went up to, like Teresa, you have such a broad perspective, an incredibly loving, supportive perspective for us all. If you went up a little bit and started to look at all the thought forms, you'd find a lot of them cancel each other out. The New York Jets are the best team. No, the New England Patriots. Bam, those are gone. And what you're left with is a lot less surety and a lot more love. There's a huge vibration, a huge consciousness. Every time you get a hug, give a hug, a real one, every time you celebrate, you laugh, your laugh is hope and healing for others. So there's something going on far bigger than all the words we can use in the world. And you can share, participate in it, and spread it around a lot more. That's the big message. And so all of us are here, Earth School, most of us are here to keep the expansion going, to learn something. And it's less about the details, more about being in the heart.
Oh, I love the way you explain that. And yeah, it came to me like every, 2,000 or so years, a whole bunch of us come back on to go, okay, it's being shaken up again. And here we are, right?
Yeah, it's look, I think people have had a lot of past lives. I think there's a lot of people here to help out. I think again, it's what will you allow for? What will you? It's is it Pema Chodron? Pema Chodron. She
Yeah.
did her last speech at Omega last year publicly. She's gotten up there, but she talks about the feeling of letting go of what you know, and that it could feel like just this going into oblivion, ultimate destruction. Buddhists do it really well. Death by 1,000, infernal fires or something like that. So it's going to be scary to let go, to go from here to here. And a lot of us put it off for a whole lifetime. You only get a touch of it on that last breath when your whole life flashes before your eyes. Or we put it off for a week, a year, a decade. If we have an injury, a car wreck, a huge, messy divorce, but resilience and the heart. The heart knows no limits. You have to get back to trusting the world, the universe. You've got invisible helpers like you wouldn't believe. What do you think half your intuition's been? The good half. You're a golfer, you're on a golf course. It would be really weird if your Aunt Martha came in and said, "Smack that ball, John." And you're in the middle of a tourney and you're a good player and you were really looking forward to hitting a hole in one, but you just freaked out because Aunt Martha came in. No, you have to hear it as your own voice, and it's angels and it's other guides helping you out and even lending some energy. So, back to the practical for the person out there, yeah, you can continue to do the one way. You're constantly putting energy out to the universe, it's constantly responding to it and giving you exactly what you're asking for. Or you can discover a broader interaction that lets you get to where you want to go. It's understanding the difference of unconsciousness versus consciousness, or generating love versus unlove. And so, as soon as you figure out that there is a huge difference, waste of energy and actually living, you get started and off to the races for your unique life path. And then you get to, I just frustrated Geronimo, the Native American chief who's been with me since 1970. Unconditional love figure, steals the show. You'd think Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, Mother Teresa, and some other figures would be big names, but people really love Geronimo. I just had him literally put his head in his hands or say, "Sweet Jesus, Mike, yes." Because I have to be, I'm like everybody else. I got to hear it 1,000 times, 100 times before I'm kind of accepting it. I was like, am I a good manifester? I was using that word. Look, people have dreams, they have ideas of where they want to go. It could be real estate, moving, jobs, career, soulmate. Um, Let the universe step in and help you with actual, concrete, actionable steps, helping you with your decision making. And so, yes, I mean, I'm the quintessential slowest learner on the block. If I can do any of this, you can do it. But I'm a really fast teacher. So I would have to compliment myself to offset the other thing. If someone is in my presence and they're stumbling a little, I can touch their shoulder and they let go. It's a high vibe, and everyone can share in that high vibe. You do your own high vibe. Sing out loud or do the cha 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 in the kitchen as you're cooking your favorite meal with people waiting for their favorite meal because they love your cooking. You're in the flow. Do Esther Hicks, the vortex, whatever you want to call it. You're doing it half the day. When you love a task versus mowing the grass, you might like mowing the grass if you put the music in, and then you won't mow over the flower bed by accident. The point of this is you're not giving yourself any credit for how amazing you are. So start with just loving yourself more, complimenting yourself more. What do you do really well? And here's the crazy thing: an elite athlete, Major League Baseball, football, we know they're incredible at what they do. A violinist at some symphony, Boston Pops. Most of us can't equate amazing violin playing with all the other quadrants of our lives. All moments really can be the same. And let's throw one more hand grenade into everything that'll totally throw off our thinking. You can be happy now in this very moment for absolutely no reason at all. Forget angels. You can just be happy now for no reason at all. We're not doing enough of it.
I totally 100% agree with that. And I think the key for that, for what you just said, was just really trusting and just allowing. And so I know that's hard because believe me, I work on it every day too. And the fact that, like someone I've been working with lately has been talking about mastering the mundane. Like that's key for, moving forward, but it's just mastering. And then, like you said, manifesting, working with your angels and knowing that I think my thing is letting go of what's the final outcome and what's it going to look like, but knowing that my team and the angelic realm, they got my back. The universe has my back, and they can make it look like more than I can ever even imagine in my life. What would you have to say about that, Michael?
There's a million timelines, a million ways to get there. Stop worrying about the how. And I'm quoting the New Zealand healer who's currently up on my show. She's amazing fun. Let the universe worry about the how. Let the universe deliver the goods. You only have to discover the right way to be, to laugh, to tap into your presence, the flow of life, the vortex if it's Esther Hicks, and so on. It's getting out of our own way is probably the number one thing we can do as a society. Let's pick global warming. I've asked a couple big questions over 11 years. There's been like 50, 60,000 answers. When people go to listen, the record is 48 pages of answers by an Australian in 9 hours. I only check in every 2 hours. I'm not holding anybody's hand for 9 hours straight. They can do their own listening. You're already doing your own listening. What do you think half that intuition again is? Not the voice that told you to get into the Jag that's not yours and go 110 miles an hour. But the point is, there's just something bigger going on. You've tapped into it before. Community soccer, when you're kicking the soccer ball, you've actually never skipped a beat, lost a step. And you only have to remember that it's that basic. It's always simpler than we think it is. The second you think you're done and you're like, oh my God, I'm amazing, start all over, because it just doesn't stop. The amount of allowing, laughing, being in the flow, nature, loving your relatives, loving your dog, loving yourself.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So I would love for you, Michael. I know on your show, your podcast that you do, and we, you and I went back and forth with some angel readings and some of the cards you have and some of the amazing guides that you work with. So I would love you to pick one, and I'd love for you to showcase the energy of this angel and what this angel's about. And I almost said he or she because I don't know which one it's going to be, but I'll let you just pick one and just kind of showcase one of your beautiful angel cards.
Sure. An angel named Joy. She's the emotion Joy. And she's the ambassador communicator here to help us just let go, get out of our head, into our hearts. High, peppy voice. If anybody wants to put their hand out like it's a fireplace, except instead of feeling heat, you could feel sparkle in your toes or on your palm, on your fingers, feel a high vibe. Allow, allow, allow. My only rule or structure is this quick saying for those who feel like they need a little extra help. And by the way, you can get up and do a little jig, a dance, do a circle, do the hokey pokey, anything that breaks your structure. So you go, what the heck? Why am I getting out of my chair and turning around? But that's exactly what the point of the exercise is. Get out of your routine, get back to your heart. Your heart already knows what to do. So here's the one sentence or phrase. Angels, get me out of my head, into my heart. Make this nice. Amen, rock and roll, thank you. If you're from India, Om Sai Ram. You can leave your eyes on her and ask her a question. I always do the dumbed down question for 11 years now. Hey, Joy, silently in your heart, don't get caught at the supermarket. Hey, Joy, what do I need to know in life right now? It could sound like your little voice just saying, breathe, relax, if you're freaking out about this. But if you want to play this over, go back to her broadcast, do it again. Do it after you took a shower, walked the dog, or you came back from a sporting event, or your team just won, when your vibe is higher and you're not really caring anymore. You're like, whatever, I just would love to hear an angel's voice. And you'll hear the sweetest, high, peppy voice, Joy, saying, relax, breathe, you got this, we're here. Trust more, allow more. If you've already done this, you've had a couple it doesn't take near death experiences to experience this, but if you've already had some moments in life that have shaken you up and make you live more or given you the opportunity to grow into that more, you're probably going to be off to the races. You can kind of be like, hey, what are we making for dinner next Thursday? Or where are we going for vacation? I think those are the fun questions. Where am I going for a better cup of coffee? This gets back to the quintessential, mankind has been asking this question for, 5,000 years. How do you know a good cup of coffee is a good cup of coffee? That's it. And the teams of scientists want to come in. Or, McKinsey and Company, the consulting firm. You could spend millions of dollars and have hundreds of PhDs come in to evaluate the good cup of coffee. Or you could just say, yum, I definitely have another one of these cups of coffee. They're really good. It's the world's best cup of coffee. You already have a guidance system that knows what works and what doesn't. What leaves you dancing in your back lawn or on your balcony or hugging your dog going, life is so beautiful. It doesn't have to be a Disney film or a vacation in Hawaii. You've already got that fire within, but let's switch that. You've already got that high vibe, that sparkle within. And when you connect to your higher self, there's a soul, and you can see your soul in the sky. It looks like the aurora borealis. Let angels just help you out. Angels can help you with your tennis swing. They can help you with your running. If you've got an injury, you can get healing. Colorblind people have seen color. That's a lot to allow for, but just allow for it. The point of this is the universe will help you with your expansion. Don't worry about the how, just invite it in. It's nighttime, university classes. If you sleep for 8 hours a night, go to bed making the request like, yeah, I could use a little more help. I could use a lot more humor and amazing people around me and a lot more guidance and clarity. So I feel like I'm owning me. And stick your elbows out, thump your heart. If you have to feel your heart, if you have to sing in the shower, try to find ways to get out of your routine and then watch what gets delivered to you, and sometimes very humorous. And if you want to see an angel in human form, ask for it right now. Pause and just be like, hey, angels, I could use a really sparkly-eyed stranger crossing my path. See what happens. Give it 3 weeks. Make the request. If you don't ask, you don't get. It's just like a vacation, date, raise, the usual.
You got to ask. Absolutely right. You got to ask. So, Michael, if someone is watching this and goes, gosh, I really resonate with him and I want to connect, talk a little bit about the process you go through with people and how you guide them with connecting with their angels and getting messages.
Sure. And I always suggest people look at that little book, Listening to Angels, on Amazon. It's only $4.99, less than a price of a cup of coffee. It's absolutely written by angels, and it's 15 minutes read. I help people let go, again, long enough to get their answers, get their hugs, and to take little baby steps. Now, some people, they need to hear it's 75 baby steps, but it's not necessarily 75 concrete actions. One act of letting go could be 20 of those steps. You've been doing the same letting go your whole life. Little activities around the house that are actually really complex. Flipping a light switch, brushing your teeth, falling asleep at night. You have complete faith and trust in those activities. But when it comes to something big that we're talking about on the show, that's where the thinking kicks in and says, oh, I better not. Now, the best example of you've already got the skill on all of it is driving. As a kid, you were like, oh, I'm not sure about driving, or you're really excited because your big brother was already driving. You got to drive. For 2 weeks, you were really excited, jingling the keys. But look what adults do to a lot of activities, or our lack of trust. We get stuck in traffic in LA as a 40-year-old, and we're upset. We're not seeing the red-tailed falcon or red-tailed hawk fly by, or saying, I'm appreciating this moment. We're tucked up in here, not living, doing routine. A little bit of neutral to negative energy. So there's something available to us all. Angels are ready to assist, guides, light beings, and so on. Your relatives are here. You only have to crack that door open and let the universe do the rest.
I open up that door. Knock, knock, open it up.
Exactly.
Well, Michael, this has been so much fun today, and I just adore your work and you and all the team you work with. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And I will have everything of how to connect with Michael, get in touch with his beautiful podcast. Hey, even watch the episode that I was on, which was so much fun. And that'll all be in the show notes, so you can definitely connect with them there. But thank you so much for coming on today, Michael.
Thank you very much for having me on, Teresa.
Well, everyone, I hope that you received and felt that beautiful angelic presence that was around this episode and all the angels that came in to support and back what Michael came forth with and what we chatted about for your journey, because this podcast is all about supporting you and your journey. So a big thanks for Michael for coming on today and sharing all about what he does, what he's put together with the angelic realm, and how they can support you. So if you've not subscribed to this podcast, please make sure you do. Please make sure that you hit like. Please also feel free to share with your friends and family. Maybe there might be someone out there that might need to get a little angelic vibe going for themselves. Please feel free to share this episode. And also, I'd love it if you would leave a comment of how you enjoyed it. And so until next week, please make sure that you remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey.